one guy who can help clear all this up for us, because he's polled in Iowa and other states in our union, our good friend Matt Towery, joining us tonight from Atlanta. Matt, you are watching everything go on. Your take on what you saw and heard tonight.
Well, JD, I want to do something I don't normally do. First of all, I want to say I was involved with the Republican Party beginning in 1980. Tonight, I became a grandfather for the first time. So I'm going to give some grandfatherly observations. First time I've ever felt old. This was a disaster for the Republican Party tonight. You had a knife fight in one room and you had a circus in the other. And if people don't recognize that, they will down the road. We've had this happen in the last cycle 4 years ago. We had the different candidates running. Gingrich would win one debate, another debate would go to Romney. This was not a good night for the Republican Party, no matter what they think. Number two, Donald Trump wasn't playing to Iowa. He was playing to South Carolina. That's what he was doing tonight with these veterans. That's where this race is going to be decided. And number three, and you will recall this, JD, I wrote in December of 2014 that Donald Trump would be the leading candidate of the Republican side, and everyone laughed at me. Tonight, he's still the leading candidate, and we don't know that he'll win Iowa or not. The polling, as Dick Morris aptly noted, is very unusual there, and we can't really ferret down to the small number of people who are going to turn out. But this thing isn't going to be decided in Iowa, and it's not going to be decided in New Hampshire. It's going to be decided in South Carolina and the southern states that we're going to be polling after that are the SEC primary. So tonight didn't do a damn thing for anybody but keep the circus going.
Well, I would note that despite your frustration, and perhaps now I'm on this side of the situation and watching what goes on, let's be honest. The second most popular term for discussing politics, typically we talk about a horse race, but then especially with our quadrennial practice of trying to select a president, we call it a circus. So I know the fat lady has not sung yet at the freak show. I know right. The circus continues, and it is part of the, some might call it pageantry, some might call it tomfoolery of the American political experience. But I got to tell you tonight, I think what we saw was Donald Trump, again, I think it's a very wise point what you made about South Carolina. And I do believe Trump and his team are 3 steps ahead in terms of the chess match, trying to get that done. But I also believe he continues to enhance his situation, saying, look, I'm not going to let the media run me. I'm not going to let the politically correct world run me. And because he did that veterans event tonight, not only does it help him in South Carolina, I would agree with you. I don't think he's going to end up winning the Iowa caucus. But I do believe that to a national audience, yielding the floor to a cause greater than himself, to the veterans who everyone want to see help, I don't think he harmed his political chances tonight.
Oh, I agree with you. I don't think he hurt himself at all. I think what you have going on here is a dynamic that nobody wants to confront. You've got a situation where the media, in this instance, and I'm not putting down Fox, but in general, there's just this desire now to want to make these things a battle where you pit one person against another, and it's not a policy debate. You know, Ted Cruz is right. We need more policy. It's not there. Trump decides to go out and hold his own rump convention at the same time. Don't think this isn't going to be remembered when we get into November of next year. This looks great to Republicans right now, but I don't know where it's going to be when we get down to the actual dance with the Democrats. But I will point this out. You had tonight Dick Morris, Roger Stone, Michael Reagan, real pros who have been around forever. And if you look at all of their opinions, no one can agree on a single thing. I think Iowa's a toss-up. New Hampshire probably goes to Trump. South Carolina becomes the dance. You get the ticket there, you go to the South, and Florida crowns the whole thing. That's how this thing is going down. And right now, what occurred tonight was not as good as Republicans think, but it's not as bad for Donald Trump as you think. I think it's going to be a very close vote in Iowa. And I think this thing is going down to South Carolina, and that's where we're going to decide who gets to go on. The final 2 who get to decide in the South and in Florida who will be the nominee of the Republican Party.
I think you have summed it up quite well. And you also mentioned November. and there's a long time between now and November. But it was interesting tonight to watch Marco Rubio with his telegenic style and his ability to really connect with the crowd when instead of fighting with Ted Cruz or Jeb Bush, he trained his rhetorical sights on Hillary Clinton. Let's look and listen.
It's not about Donald Trump. He's an entertaining guy. He's the greatest show on earth. This campaign is about the greatest country in the world and a president who has systematically destroyed many of the things that made America special. That is why Hillary Clinton cannot win this election. Hillary Clinton this week said Barack Obama would make a great Supreme Court justice. The guy who systematically and habitually violates the Constitution on the Supreme Court? I don't think so. If I'm our nominee, I will unite this party, and we will defeat Hillary Clinton, and we will turn this country around once and for all after 7 years of the disaster that is Barack Obama.
And despite what happens in a debate, which is Republican on Republican rhetoric, when they trained their sights on Hillary Clinton, and especially right there from Marco Rubio, Matt, that was a pretty effective bill of political indictment.
Well, and I think based on the online poll you're seeing and sort of my own evaluation, Marco Rubio solidified himself as the person who's likely to come in third place in Iowa. I mean, basically, you have Cruz and Trump battling out for the top. And the big issue there, as Dick Morris said, is what's the turnout model? We're seeing in the polling that young people are wildly enthusiastic about Donald Trump. That's where he does his best in every poll in every state. If they turn out on Monday like they did 8 years ago for Barack Obama, then Trump's going to win. If they don't turn out, then Cruz is going to win. And then you're going to have this issue of whether Trump comes in second or, as I think Michael suggested, Trump ends up in third place. I don't think that's likely. But I think Rubio tonight had a strong enough performance, as he has in most of the debates, to be the third finisher in this particular contest in Iowa. Now, where he ends up in South Carolina, where Jeb Bush was polling stronger in our poll, I don't know. But tonight, I don't think anyone made a big difference. Cruz probably suffered a little bit from the actual attacks that he had because, of course, he was the substitute for Donald Trump as the leader. But I don't think anyone emerged as the big winner tonight. And I do think, remember I said this, they're going to remind us of this circus down the road. When we get into November, October, November, there are going to be a lot of times we remember the night when there was a convention and then there was the rump convention. And I'm not saying it's a mistake. I think Donald Trump was very smart not to go. And it may actually, as I say, put him in great stead for South Carolina and winning the whole thing. But this is some wacky stuff tonight. I mean,
fair
really
enough, but you
stuff.
see, you have redeemed it, Matt, by offering that incisive analysis. We thank you, and we will remember what you said, although I don't know that all these folks are really going to remember tonight next November. But it's a cumulative effect. Matt Towery, tonight from Atlanta, you have our thanks.